Hi, you're watching SightsIn and this is Ramesh Shivastu. Please to subscribe the channel for the HR news, for HR updates, and conversation with the top-notch CHROs for thought leaders and business heads. This conversation may be interesting for the job aspirants because we are today going to discuss about that how to pitch for the job, or you can say how to prepare for the job change. Today, we have two senior HR leaders. Let me introduce Ms. Namita Pandey. She is a CHRO at Srijan, and Mr. Ganesh Iyer is a Senior Director, Human Resources at ADP. Namita, I think the very first step, that is how you prepare yourself for the job. If you are at the entry level, then you need to also prepare. You can do some SWOT analysis. You can understand that what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are the opportunities you are looking for, what are the threats you can work on this, and then comes that is the how you start the job search. So, what are the effective methods of the job search and how you can prepare yourself for the job?
Yeah, so thank you, Ramesh, for inviting us here for this session. I think job search plays a very important role. One is in most of the colleges, I'd say, believe campus placement is one such opportunity where at campus level also you get a lot of opportunity to interact with various recruiters, various companies. So there you don't have in the sense of processes you have to prepare, like how would you appear for group discussions, how would you appear for interviews. So these are the basic skills that one has to learn while you are appearing for campus placements. Other than that, if suppose you're going in an open market or you're planning to search outside, you had a certain degree, and based on your own core competency, and you think, for example, you're from an accounts background, HR background, or any program operations, I think reaching out to right companies where this potential is required from them as freshers. So either through job portals, LinkedIn nowadays has a great opportunity where one can definitely display their skills and understanding what they've been going through preparing a resume. So applying and reaching out to those companies is one way through campus placement or through your own portal searches where you can reach out to various recruiters. Other than that, I think resume plays a very important role because as a recruiter, you got on a daily basis, you have to sometimes shortlist more than 300, 400 resumes. So it gets very tedious for us to go through each and every resume in so much of detail. So preparing a very, I would say, one-pager resume, which is very compact, very easy to understand, just highlighting the skills that you brought to the table, rather writing the whole story of your own experience. Because I've seen people mentioning about the details of the internship experience. So just name and highlights are important, but not exactly writing the whole details of the roles that you've played. Rather focus on the skills and competencies that you've learned in that period, either through internships or in your prior job experience. So this is something I believe preparing a well-crafted resume, which is very attractive, which is not more than a page, max to max 2 pages, and then reaching out to specified donors. As I said, once you get an opportunity, then I think interview plays an important role there. How do you crack those skills there?
Ganesh, we will also discuss little more about the resume preparation part. And if we look at the job search as of now, so Namita, she has also referred about the LinkedIn. And if you look at the data, so around 87% recruiters, they are also using the LinkedIn as their talent pool. And if we look at the success rate, so 57% positions are being closed by the LinkedIn. There are also certain other ways to search the job, but what is your opening comment on this?
I would definitely echo what Namita said, but thanks for firstly, giving us such a warm welcome and inviting us to such a good topic, which continues to be one of the more critical ones, especially in the new year, because this is the time period when companies are opening up recs and starting to open up, fill up positions which probably have been stalled, postponed or deferred during before the new year occurred. And I think this is the exact time period when job searches starts to take place very actively. You also find candidates becoming more active in the market and transitioning from being passive to actually looking out. If I look at the global scale, this is also the time period when many enterprises pay their annual bonuses end of December, and also in India, since the bonus payout cycle comes up during the Q1 or Q2 of the calendar year, people start venturing out, thinking about career aspirations, having the right dialogues with their managers. But we are not here to discuss that today. But I'll mention that from a resume standpoint or a job search standpoint, clearly, there is a monopoly in the market today, right, which is LinkedIn. And as you rightly said, out of every 100 job, probably 50 gets filled in LinkedIn, but those 50 are not through spamming. And that's the spamming culture which has also caught up with LinkedIn, because it's also becoming another social media site which is very actively used by people. uh, just throwing some stats. So LinkedIn today has almost about clearly 10 to 15,000 new connections on a daily basis, which, imagine the power of such a big community of professionals who are coming there. Of course, people use it for other various purposes too. For a job candidate, I think it's important to learn, and that's where I would rather take a small deviation. I would encourage them to go to LinkedIn courses, which are non-commercial. That's one step where they should ideally rely on people or content creators who are coming forth and sharing knowledge and wealth and wisdom, talking about how to do job search, what are things and traits that you have to be looking for, what kind of job searches and what kind of examples which powerfully that you can use on LinkedIn. I think these are some really good tools. Even today, whenever some people reach out to me on LinkedIn, especially freshers who are at their crossroad of their corporate career getting started, they learn so much in the classroom, and I think it's now time to put that knowledge to practice. But today, I think compared to my generation, I think now today when I see the generation, they are far more exposed. They already have offers, like even before they complete their education. By the time they finish graduation, they have so much of a focus, like what I'm supposed to do next. Earlier, this conversation was driven through family, siblings, and following passions. But today, it's also to do with your network, about how your social network, how your friends, how your co-workers are there. So I see a lot of big shift in the mindset of how people are approaching. The second big approach that people are using is Glassdoor and Google Ads, because besides LinkedIn, people can also go to Google Ads, where Google is also an aggregator of all the jobs which are posted, no matter on Glassdoor, Naukri, Indeed, Monster, any of the large job sites. So it's very well structured. That way, I also find Google to be a little notch up, because you can also use filters like past 24 hours, 1 week, 1 month ago, and also see. So now the beauty with LinkedIn, which has happened, and that's a tip for all the new incumbents who are coming into the corporate world. You can use a recruiter's email whether the job has been verified and has been posted by a verifiable source. So LinkedIn has added now these new features and enhancements where you can verify whether the recruiter is actually verified working for that company. Is it a third party? Is it a consultant? And at the same time, you can see how long ago was this job refreshed? Was there any active takers? So on and so forth. So there are ways in which you can, break down, use Google, use Glassdoor, use LinkedIn in various formats which would prefer them. But going back to a point that Namita just mentioned earlier, especially on the resume, I think that's a very, very critical role. Often, people feel like I should talk a lot more about me. I think you should save something for the conversation. And as Namita rightly said, be as brief, as concise, but tell why you would be a good incumbent or a candidate in a creative way. People love storytelling, especially recruiters who would say, okay, there is something in this person. I would have to go and find the resume. And I think that's the streak you need to crack while sharing your resume with the recruiter.
Yeah, right, Ganesh. There are a few more points I would like to highlight here. If you also, I get a lot of references that I'm looking for a job. So I would like to also make it very clear here that how you can use the LinkedIn, how you can use the LinkedIn for this purpose. Sometimes the organizations also use the employee referrals. So this is the one you can also find out some couple of the people of that particular organization on the LinkedIn. Second, the organizations, you can make the list of the companies where you want to work. What is the companies who are willing, maybe 20 companies, 25 companies, 50 companies, and you can find out who are the key persons there in a recruitment team. You can also do it finding the email IDs. That is not very difficult. You can also find out the email IDs. You can create the list. You can also map out 4 5 persons in particular company, and you can go also on the career page of that company. You can apply through that. This is also very effective method. If you apply this method, I think that can help you a lot. Now, I think we can shift our conversation to the resume part. How to prepare the effective resume, that is also very important. Sometimes also I get a lot of stuff on the LinkedIn as well, that this should be of 2 pages, this should be of 3 pages, 4 pages of what should be right to what should be mentioned on the resume, what should not be mentioned on the resume. So definitely, as a recruiter, you don't want a very lengthy CV. You have something in your mind. You are very clear that what you're looking for, and that is specified on the job description. So every resume, you can personalize the resume. You does not mean you have the single resume and you keep forwarding everywhere. So you need to study the job description according to that. I think if you prepare your resume, that can work better. What is your comment on this, Namita? How to prepare a resume as per the job description?
Yeah. I think sometimes even general resume doesn't serve the purpose. So, if, for example, if your list of companies is clear to you, this is where I'm going to apply. I think understand their psyche, their requirement, what do they consider as brand, or what are they looking for in this candidate. So, accordingly, I think in your resume, you should highlight those points which this kind of organization would like in the candidate which they are planning for this specific role. So, one is just giving you a brief understanding of this candidate, like about yourself, that is there, like your qualification and all that basic things should be there. Other than that, just highlight, for example, if you have certain experience of either, for example, if you consider freshers, an internship experience you have, or if it's someone who has worked in an organization, you have certain experience of this organization. Instead of writing details of the roles that you played, please highlight the skills and competencies that you've learned over the period of time, so that as recruiter, I need to understand, yes, this person played the role of team leader, for example, but basically the person has understood leadership skills, team building, and these are the skills which this person has learned over a period of time. So highlighting those parts which actually creates attention in the mind of recruiter are very important. So you have to understand the psyche of this particular company, what are they looking for, and accordingly highlight those things in your resume. So likewise, I think sometimes I also feel, for example, a very generic resume, for example, I'm hiring for a position of operations, I get a resume of an accountant saying, yes, I have done also some operations, and my background is accounting and all that. So I'll sometimes I may outrightly reject also. I would say, no, I need a fully operational wala person only in my organization. So this candidate has to understand what are we highlighting when we are sending for this particular position, and accordingly craft it. And as I think Ganesh also mentioned that the more concise it is, the more perfect it is. Yeah.
Right. And Ganesh, what is your take on this? How to prepare an impressive resume?
I think today there is so much exposure to technology, right? We cannot stay behind the advancements that have been made. Earlier, if you had to make a resume, I'm taking an example probably a decade ago, you had to go to a consulting firm, rely on a friend, a well-wisher who might be able to help you. Today, you go on a Google search, you can find 1,000 templates that are available at your disposal free of cost. But having that exposure also means that it is leading to consistency. Everyone has access to it globally. So what's your USP? How are you going to crack? I think that's where your creative mindset has to come as a candidate, as a student, as a new entrant into the corporate world. I have a few examples. I would say one, you need to customize your, and this is often an assumption that you should not tailor make your resume to suit the job standards. I think you have to rather tailor make your resume to suit what the recruiter, what the hiring manager, or what the leader is looking for. Unless you do not do that, if you just do a mere cut, copy, paste everywhere, I think it's not going to lead to any level of success or outcomes. So that's one. Clearly, you have to customize what the company is looking for. So, for example, sometimes companies emphasize saying we are looking at these values, these cultural aspects. Can you give examples? Can you objectify them? Can you quantify with things that you might have done with your limited exposure if you're starting fresh? I think those are very critical elements. The second is, I think, making sure uh, quantifiable achievements are included. So, for example, if you've organized a fest, you have been responsible to drive an initiative, you need to have these aspects being very well quantified in your resume, because oftentimes people do not want to read long sentences. They prefer to read numbers, and numbers can always lead to impressions. uh, Proofread your resume. That's another mistake that many people do, that they think that they have done everything, and quickly, in the spirit of speed, they send it out, and then they realize there are errors. ATSs can catch errors today, can also identify if there has been a duplication of CVs that you have done. So of course it will not enable you to have chances of going through the first filtration round. So my suggestion is, make sure that you reach out to a friend, a co-colleague, a well-wisher, or somebody who can give you constructive criticism and offer you saying, I will look at your resume, suggest, trust me, I have used this in my career and I have no shame in admitting it, because whenever I have reached out for executive positions, my friends, my family has been my biggest pillar of support. So I think you have to start with that support model. Unless you do that, you are like going in a blind side. You are blindsided, not knowing what works, what doesn't work. uh, Third, and I think this would be the most important aspect for me, there are people who offer resume services on LinkedIn at very sometimes free. Sometimes people do social service for cause. In fact, oftentimes people reach out, and I also try to say, hey, I'm more than willing to step in and help, especially if people are looking for opportunities in abroad and trying to make a career, because what might suit in your home country might not suit in another country. So being aware of cross-cultural dynamics is very critical, especially people who prefer to go for global opportunities. I think those are a couple of aspects that I find from a resume building purpose that holds importance today when talent acquisition teams look at resumes.
Right. Yeah. Thoroughly study of job description, that is really very important. That is also important before the preparation of the resume, and also when you're going to the next round, that may be the telephonic round, that may be your video call, that may be personal round. How do you see what the preparation that is needed as a candidate to be done before appearing for the interview? Yeah.
So probably, for the job description, don't assume that every job description is the same. Every company has a unique value proposition, unique expectations from the candidates. They are looking for not just what you have performed, they're also looking at what skill have you demonstrated: collaboration, team player, spirit of synergy, having a creative bent of mind. So people are looking for outcomes, people are looking for actions, people are looking for thought leadership sometimes in roles. Let's take an example of an entry level role where you're supposed to be a customer service representative in an enterprise, or you are supposed to be, let's say, a business analyst. When you take an example of business analyst, what comes to mind? You might think that I'm supposed to just do analysis. Actually not. You're supposed to be good with numbers, you're supposed to be good with Excel. So this is where you need to start connecting dots. You need to be good with, sometimes, with statistics. So look at the role not as what has been expressed as desired on a job ad. Look at it from a human aspect. What might be the thought? So take a few moments to reflect on the job. Like you were mentioning earlier, Ramesh, even reaching out to some of the people in that organization to know what does the job actually do, because what's published, what's taught, and what's done in reality has a significant difference in today's market sometimes. So look at the job expectation, what's expected out of me, what are the success outcomes of these jobs. That's very critical. And I think today you have to, if you're an active job seeker, you have to be an extrovert. I say this with a lot of I know people might even come back and say, hey, does it mean the introverts can't find a job? I'm not saying so. But you have to be a little bit more open, welcoming, and also expressive, especially if you're willing to inquire about a job description. The second is, uh, try to compare it. If you have prior experience, try to compare it, whether this is something similar, because company A to company B, this could be very different. So it requires some level of thought process, thinking on the fly, plus at the same time doing a lot of due diligence and homework. Because today what's happening is, let's take the example of LinkedIn, since we were speaking about it. It's like click in, easy apply. So people just like click, and then they realize that I'm not getting any kind of active interest from organizations. The reason is people are not taking that due diligence or not performing that homework which is required to be done before they apply.
Very nice perspective, I think, Ganesh, you shared. Namita, what is your take on this?
Yeah, I think people should make efforts in reading the job description very, very clearly. I think because not doing that, they are harming themselves more, other more than the recruiters. Because the rate of success would be as low as possible if you've not gone through it, not understood it, not clearly in our mind, we have been able to make in clear-cut expectations whether we are going to crack it or we're not going to crack it. So I think when you read the job description, clearly notice what location they're mentioning, what salary range are they offering, what exactly skills and competencies are required for this role. So once you go through all that, make in your mind the own decision whether I see myself fitting into it, what percentage of my candidature is fitting into it. If you see the chances are more than 50%, yes, I fit to this role, the location is fine, the salary offered is fine, and then plan to apply. Then you can do a lot of hard work, so you can demonstrate your skills during the process of further recruitment and interviews and all that. Then only please go ahead with that. Otherwise, as Ganesh clearly mentioned, this easy apply thing, or the moment I'll just share you one example. The moment I broadcast any vacancy in job portals, immediately in an hour I receive more than hundreds of applications. Always, and this has been the constant thing. And in this 100, I would say 50 to 60 is just rubbish. Rubbish in the sense not at all connect with the job description we've mentioned in that portal. So it is there. It is doing more harm to them, I believe, because for example, a candidate will apply to 100 applications and would realize, oh, I've got only from 10 organizations I've got a response. So it is damaging them as well, and also for the recruiters, so it's a big pain as usual. So that should be a very, very conscious step, which I believe each candidate should go through that in detail. In case you are not able to understand the job description properly, please reach out to people there, the HR there, or others in those organizations to understand what does it imply, what is it saying exactly. Yeah.
Ganesh, after the shortlisting of resume, then of course the interview that the process comes. How you need to prepare for the interview as a entry level for the entry level job that maybe for the mid level as well. Do you think they also need to understand? They need to study about what is the company history, what is the company performance, how the company is doing as of now. If they do have any more information about the company, how they prepare? Does the attire also play a role? What is your take on this,
I
Ganesh?
think we are well beyond being remote, hybrid, call it physical presence in office. I think the world has fast evolved, ignoring the aspect of how you prepare yourself, but how you speak and how you represent yourself. I think that's the shift what has occurred. Besides the soft factors about how you look, how you address, how you appear, I think that's definitely up to the candidate, because people have to be comfortable in the clothing that they wear, and people HR is not too finicky nowadays about, or even prior, that what you wear and how you appear in office. But quite honestly, I think it speaks a lot of volume about how you are in personal life. And companies are not just investing in talent to hire and outperform themselves. They're also looking at personal qualities and values that you bring to the table. So that's where the journey starts. But if I take a few steps down, I think preparation for an interview itself is a big art. Yeah. If you are saying that, okay, and I don't think of any organization where they schedule interactions 2 days from now and don't give you ample notice. People do a lot of planning, prioritization, because HR is not the only person. And today, the format in which HR is running recruitment or talent acquisition, they're also aiming at doing single day interviews, making sure that the candidates just gets shortlisted, walks away with an offer. And at least for the firm that I work for, these are some of the good practices that we have globally. So even if I look at the preparation from a candidate standpoint, I think what you write and what you speak have to be connected. It cannot be like so different. Second, demonstrate your interest towards the role, demonstrate your passion towards why it would be important for you. But more from a preparation standpoint, start doing mocks. When I was preparing for my MBA, or even prior for, let's say, the government examinations back in India when I was pursuing education, I think it used to take me a lot to stand in front of the mirror. Public speaking, I was scared of. Those are good qualities that now are emerging in the classroom as a setup. But today, if you are wanting to prepare for interaction, make sure that you have a mock preparation, make sure that you have a script ready in your mind, not just having notes in front of you, because sometimes interviewers are also comfortable that if you want to have a script, especially if you are a new entrant into the corporate. Third, have clear voice and language assessments, because you need to have some of those, especially if you're going for technical, semi-technical jobs. Enterprises are expecting you to take assessment skills. So you should never lose touch and sight from your, quantifiable analytics, mathematics, day-to-day general knowledge, which will also help you. Plus, in addition, you pointed out in a good direction. You have to be aware of the company history, background, growth, So all this is public information. You open up a company's balance sheet, you can definitely find a lot of information on their careers page itself. Who's in the board, who's in the management, whom do you follow? I think besides spending time on social media for a lot of other non-purposeful things, invest time on LinkedIn and other sites which are meant for this, where you can follow the company, learn about the company, know about the enterprise, know about the stock value. I think if you're able to build that degree of trust and connection with the recruiter or the interviewer, it could be even a hiring manager. If you even share a few fraction examples, I think it'll always lead to a better impression, and that you will always, of course, get ranked high compared to some of the other candidates who might not be as much aware. So I feel it takes a lot of preparation, a lot of effort, and people who have cracked interviews are not those who have not done their due diligence. These are people who have really spent like countless nights preparing for it and dreaming about this job if you are a go-getter.
Right, right. And I think you can also practice some frequently asked questions. So FQA, that is also very important. Namita, sometime after, okay, after the selection, if you got selected, then of course you will discuss your salary part, at what the compensation, what the benefits the company is going to offer you. Sometimes you get very unrealistic figure from the candidate. And now when we are working on the hybrid mode, so we are getting two options. If the job is for the work from home and if the job is from the work from office. How to deal with this salary expectation part, Namita?
Yeah. I think I would also want to add to the previous Vala part in interview preparation. One is, I think I would suggest all the candidates to be as genuine and authentic as possible, because I have seen when they've learned from LinkedIn or from various sources, they've learned certain definitions of questions about myself, other things. So the interviewer or the recruiter also understands that you're faking this particular aspect of your own personality. So as genuine and authentic the person is, they're more likable by the recruiters. So that is one point I want to add there. Next, when you said about this salary wala thing, yes, it is very, very dicey. So it is important for candidates to first understand the market, like where are they standing? And for example, the company on which I'm applying, what are their offerings? Like what is the band rate, broad range that they are offering? So because expectations can be unending, even from the same college. If you see campus placements, the packages offered, people go at 4 lakhs also and at 40 lakhs also. So there's no defined end to it, where to understand where am I, what should be my stand, whether I fit into 12 lakhs wala thing, 40 lakhs or 4 lakhs, where am I? So understanding where am I right now, and then understanding a little bit about the market for this particular position which this company is advertised, and then making that kind of pitch and seeing that fitment, that can, I believe, could be of some help. But still it is very, very tricky. So sometimes people, as candidates, we feel that organizations are ditching us, saying jitna, like as less as possible the candidate comes, so it's better for them, for the organizations, to get this candidate in as less as salary. Likewise for companies, for individuals also, they want to get as maximum as possible from this organization so that they can fit into that role. But I think some broad ranges are mentioned in job descriptions also when they're highlighting positions, especially for freshers or others. So candidate has to understand the market and then accordingly apply for it. Other than salary, I would suggest all the candidates to please have a look at the HR policies of the organization, understand whether insurance benefits, leave policies, and what other benefits they are giving. Because I have seen people who've just shifting from one organization to the other, saying that we were getting a jump of 20,000, 10,000, then we shifted. But later on, when they realized, when they went to that organization, the HR policies were so harsh. For example, there were no leaves at all, or there were no insurance benefits, or if you're just half an hour late, your half day salary would be deducted. So there were very mean HR policies were there. So in paper, the salaries is in good amount or it looks very attractive, but in reality, it is leading to demotivation of the particular person. So other than salary, it has to be seen more like a package that they'll be getting from this organization, their growth opportunities, learning opportunities, how would they reach to that level, and these other benefits other than salary.
Right, Namita. Good points. I think you have highlighted. So, after the selections and after the salary negotiation, before you're accepting the offer, you need to understand that what is the compensation, what the responsibilities you are going to take, and what the designation, and these are the things that should be in writing. That should not be only just in a verbal form. So, because we are really at the very end of time. So, Ganesh, what is your final and concluding remarks on this?
It's a very competitive market today, and I don't think every passing year is becoming easier. It's becoming difficult and difficult and difficult. So I think I would echo with some of the points that my co-panelist Namita mentioned. Being authentic, being genuine, and being transparent. And I think having your story, which you want to tell, rather than merely saying, I would also follow what others are doing without knowing. See, blind faith doesn't work in recruitment. You can follow people, you can follow the practices that are taught in the classroom, but you need to have your own unique sales pitch. Every candidate is a salesperson, actually. If you want to sell yourself, you need to have a good articulation, you need to have better communication, you need to say what you mean and make sure that there is no doubt in your mind. Plus, make sure that you have your data awareness, everything clear, because oftentimes people are caught at the wrong side saying, you said this when we were having a phone interaction, but in person, when I'm not finding you to be the same person. So do not try to mirror something which you are not. So do what your follow your passion, follow the principles of what good guiding interviews are, good interviewing principles are, rather than just saying, okay, I'm doing it for the heck of finding another job. You are doing it for finding where your career suits you. So make sure that you give it ample importance.
Namita, any of your final comments quickly?
I think I would say for candidates, they should more value in terms of building relationships, seeing interviews, since interviews are mostly the last resort where if candidates come to that stage. At that stage, I believe it's important for them to see that it's an opportunity for them to just sit across panel and can actually build in long-lasting relationships. I have myself seen being in a panel many a times, even if I'm not able to select this candidate for a particular position, but if I have found the candidate attractive, I'll reach out to this particular candidate in for future opportunities as well, or for any other opportunities other than my organization if I feel this person is a good connect. So they should see this as an opportunity where they can actually have a long-lasting impression in the mind of recruiters. So it should be more like a two-way kind of process where they see this as an opportunity. That is my final.
Right. So this is the time to wrapping up this discussion. Very interesting points I think we have discussed, we have highlighted. So first of all, you prepare yourself, understand your strength, what you are looking for. Then you need to understand what the company is and what the company is looking for. Then you also study what the salary brackets are there in a market as per your experience, your qualification. So these are the things I think can help you to prepare for the better interview. Thank you so much, Namita and Ganesh, for joining the conversation and sharing your wonderful thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you, Ganesh.
Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you, Namita. Bye. Have a good day.